And looking in the growth, data growth in units, which is unit of measurement. So the unit of measurement is normally byte. So initially it is bits, right? 1 byte equal to 8 bits. Then we stored in kilobyte. What I mentioned in the first slide, floppy disk per kilobyte. Then came our CD drives, which were MBs, megabyte, right? And again, when we move to DVDs, GBs, gigabyte. Now again, the data storage was found to be insufficient. We stored something to what we moved to our flash drives, which is terabytes of data storage. So every time, even the individuals were generating more volume of data, which is being increased from kilobytes to petabytes or terabytes, and even business organizations, the data volume has been increasing from a smaller KB to yottabyte, zettabytes. That is what we have referred in the previous slides. Now let us have a comparison of unit of measurement in terms of a physical composition to have a better understanding. Let us assume that byte is 1 grain of rice. So when I take one rice, I call it to be a byte. Rice, very nice, right? Then when I say it is KB, I assume that a cup of rice, I call it as kilobytes. Now, when we say it as megabyte, we assume that we have 8 bags of rice, right? Gigabytes, 3 semi-trucks with rice. Terabytes is 2 container ships of rice. Petabyte is a state full of rice bag. Exabyte is southern states filled with rice bag. Zettabytes is fills the Pacific Ocean. See, 2040 and 2020 to 40, it is predicted that data volume will increase to zettabytes. It fills the Pacific Ocean. Yottabyte, earth full of rice ball. Now, when we walk through from byte to yottabyte, now when we think of ourselves as an individual, how much volumes of rice in with respect to data we have with us? All of us, we have more than terabytes of data in our pen drives. At least we do have 2 pen drives, or we do have an external hard disk, at least 1 TB of data. How many GB of data we have? I have so much of GBs in my memory card of my mobile. I have so much of GBs inside my desktops or my devices. So you have more GBs of data. So we think of MBs and KB. Somebody asks us MBs and KB. We think it is a small pipe just filling a drop by drop of data. We don't want our data to be given, consumption to be in terms of megabytes and kilobytes. Even your mobile plans, they don't provide you with your data consumption or your data availability in forms of megabyte and kilobytes. Only people give you so much of GB, we go and get a SIM card. Is it or not? It means that we are consuming more data. And once you consume data, my output is again what? It is a data. As an individual, we store terabytes of data. And the question for us when it comes into what do we do with this terabyte of data and how do we manage with this terabyte of data, which is again a very voluminous data to us. And one thing, our WhatsApp makes our mobile filled with lot and volumes of data, make our mobile gets very slow. Is it or not? Yes. So every WhatsApp groups, when it fills up, we are filled with lot of information, making our mobile slow. And again, it is in forms of gigabyte. So the data is been increasing not only for business, the data is also been increasing, evolving from individuals. Data is also evolving from machines. So data has been evolving in 3 perspectives. Business organization, banking, insurance, markets, retail stores. Everybody evolve with lots of data. Individuals, we evolve with lot of data. In communication, in sharing of photos, Instagrams, audios, videos. Then machines, my IoT gadgets, my shoes, my smartness, my fridge, everything, it again puts me with lot of data. So the channel of piping of my data comes in from 3 different gadgets, ending with something a very larger size, which we call or term into something called as big data. So now what is big data? It is the data that is being generated from different sources. We call it as big data. I think now we are very clear, right? So how many trucks of data we have? So I do have a 16 GB memory card inside my mobile, right? So 16 into 348 trucks has been inside my pocket, right? So when we assume that, we couldn't imagine so much of trucks and ship behind us. When you take a house, there are 5 to 10, 3 mobile cassettes we have. So everywhere we have a truck. We just go operate a truck, right? So your physical imagination is somewhat interesting to know the volumes of data that it is being generated. Now, again, where it is being generated? This is a question. Hobbyists. Gigabyte and terabytes from desktop. Petabyte and exabyte and zettabytes, it is from internet. And yottabyte, when I say it is an earth full of rice pack. And what is the future? This is again a wonderful question. Now, looking into word file data. Okay. Now we are very clear with what is data, when it started evolving, what are the sources. Data is been evolving at a faster rate, and what is the size and volume of data that is been available in front of us, and what is a global scenario of the worldwide data. As we discussed, as it's been looked in earlier, 90% of the data is being generated only after your social media platform came in, say after 2010 or 2012. 10% of data is the only data that is generated from business transactions. And why only 10% of data from business transaction? Let us understand this with a very simple use case, which is nothing but an example. Use case, we call it as an example. So what is it? When I want to get a mobile phone, what do? I immediately don't go to the shop, get a mobile by myself. So we try to search in the specification of mobiles from different people, look their likes, look in their comments from your blogs, look in their status. We look in lot of information. Search in again leads with the data. And when somebody gets a mobile, they don't leave the mobile themselves. They put their recommendations, they put their rating. This mobile is good in this mobile is not good in this mobile is. So one mobile brand which has to be sold, so it has been blended up with 10 different commands of individual users. So a sale of one mobile is a business transaction in a database. But the information of this one mobile with respect to the likes given by the individual users in social media platforms has increased 10 times than your business transaction. That is why social media platforms are considered to be the richest source of information. The business scenario is in such a way that who wants data? They are billionaire. Who wants more data? Google wants more data. Facebook wants more data, and everybody who wants data, they hold the entire worth dollars of the business value. So 90% of data is being generated in the last few years, say after 2012, and 10% of data is being generated from business organization. And once again, business organization generate revenue. They provide job opportunities. So is only business data is sufficient to continue with the business? Again, there occurs a question mark. And again, there is an answer with respect to big data in the slides to be continued in the forthcoming sessions. So we'll stop with that while. What is the scenario itself in the current time? Now, we have come to a very interesting slide on big data popularity. Big data has become so popular only now. The current scenario is big data is not popular. Is popular only because of now in academia? Not at all. See, I've seen that big data evolved in 2010. Big data is popular in 2012. So after social networking, we call it to be post-internet era. Now, late 1997, we call it as internet era, and 2010, we call it as post-internet, because without internet, we couldn't do anything. Now we are into an era called as Internet of Things era. or AI or whatever it is. So 2010, with social networking, the data exploded to greater heights, evolved to greater heights to a larger extent. And what made this big data popularity? And these are the use cases that is being searched from Google with respect to the examples that has been given. You can Google it to have a very clear understanding what is it. So when made big data popular is in 2012 election of US President Barack Obama. He has used big data as a technology and a tool, right, for his election campaign. Not now, it is in 2012. So when social media came in 2010, people were given the freedom and the right to give their likes about anything and opinions about any fact. So the election that happens in US is totally different as what happens here in India. So in US, every time the president does his campaign, the people respond to his campaign by providing their inputs and opinion in social media, because social media has emerged there. So they tweeted it, they posted their likes. So that particular time, US electioning, Barack Obama and his governance, they use big data as a technology to identify the likes of people about his campaign, where people responded positively, where people responded negatively, how do they express their opinions. So those things has been analyzed using big data technology with 60 computing nodes, with 100 computing persons working on social media data. The data which is not generated from any business, the data that is being generated from social media platform only as a tool for sharing their opinions, but it brought in greater value to reframe the policies for his election campaign. So when 2012 it has been used, so everybody started looking in what has been happening, and their big data, the term has become catchy. And Hadoop has also become famous. Hadoop is a technology framework in big data. So big data framework, Hadoop has been used for his election campaigning in 2012. Now, this happened in US. And the next question comes in. Does it happen only in US? No, it also happened in India. So, the election processing or the electioneering, the recent election or the previous election, everything when we look in, the electioneering has become an IT campaign. No more there is public speaking has been given. Everybody, we are being thrown out with their policies, with their whatever they want to do with people, everything they are pushed through WhatsApp. They have their own, every party have their own Facebook account. They have their own tweet account. All political leaders, they do tweets, they understand the opinions, everybody, they collaborate through the social media platform. So even our government has used big data and data analytics for the electioneering process. So in the recent election, because of the issues that has been raised, that has been with so many other things that happened in US recent election, Government of India has also given strict warning that so much of data violation should not happen for with respect to elections and election commission. Social media requires permission to before sharing the data of any party has been put up. So big data has become popular in 2012 of US electioneering, and big data has also been used in India for electioneering process. And one more question where I was being mentioned is big data is only for this. Big data is used for governing. Big data is used as an important tool. And we'll be discussing a wonderful case scenario and a case study with respect to big data as a whole in the forthcoming slide of big data perspectives. Before that, I'll just give you another interesting example where big data has been used. And when we look in Bangalore corporation, they have used big data analytics. So what is the issue? So the issue with respect to any corporation, right? Any corporation is managing the infrastructure facilities required for the well-being of people. So what is the infrastructure facilities? Having water resources, transportation facilities, drainage facilities, all these facilities we call it as infrastructure facility. And this Bangalore Corporation, they have one issue with this. Whenever they try to open their pipelines for discharge water to be dumped, to be stored at different locations, they found that 40% of water is being wasted and doesn't reach the location. Now, water has become a commodity. Is it or not? Water still not become a resource. Water is a commodity. Anything which has a business value shared for business, it is called as a commodity. Is data a fact or a commodity? Data is a commodity which has its own business value. So water has become a resource and it has become a scarce resource. Now, wastage of water has to be identified. So Bangalore, they have signed an MOU with IBM. You can just verify it in Google search. Employed smart meters to identify the discharge and leakage of water happening from their pipelines. And all these IoT devices, the machines, were able to transform the leakage of data into the computing environment, able to find out appropriately, accurately where the leakage is, and it has been reduced. So it is not from one pipeline. The entire city will have multiple pipelines, multiples of data, and sensors will send you data every minute. Every minute data has been popped up in a sensor, which resulting in huge big data platform is being used for managing water scarcity or managing water leakages in Bangalore Corporation. Is it happened only in Bangalore? Not at all. Even it has happened in Thiruvananthapuram of Kerala also. Even they have done something with respect to big data analytics. So is big data analytics is something new? No, big data analytics has become a matured technology, and that is why we talk about other layers sitting above it and doing a lot of stuff for us. So big data has become popular because of social media, because of the electioneering process that is being used around the globe, and for application which help to improve the lifestyle, improve the life of or benefit of people. This is where big data is being used. So the popularity of big data, I think we'll be discussing in the entire topic with so many use cases. Whenever we discuss with the topic, we'll be discussing more use cases in the forthcoming slides. As of now, we understand that since it is used in electioning processing, forming a government, it has its own value. A technology which is used for electioning is the only technology which has matured in 2010 and is used in 2012. No other technology has been come into this particular extent. It is big data and data analytics has to be understood in the current scenario. Now, we have gone through a very large roadmap, right? So now I think all your data will be very big after listening to the slides. Now, all of us, we have a lot of myths with respect to big data. What is myth? I do believe in something, we call it as a myth. So what is a big data myth? Now, I hope all of you have understood that big data is large volume of data. If you come to this conclusion, you are correct. But am I totally correct? No, one of your answer is correct. Is all my answers is correct? No, one of your answer it is volume of data. I call it as big data. Yes, volume of data is call it as big data. Apart from that, there are a lot of beliefs about big data. We'll just go through it. What is it? So, big data is new. Is it new? No, big data is not new. It is matured in 1997. It is evolved in 2010, and it has come to a larger, to a beautiful technology in the current scenario. It's only massive volume of data, large volume of data. This is again a myth. It means only Hadoop and infrastructure. You need a data warehouse. Is data only from social media? I call it as big data. It's only for opinion mining. So these are some myth people have, that big data is only, it is new, it is only massive volume of data, it's only Hadoop, you need a data warehouse, you need an unstructured data, it's used for social media and sentiment analysis. Again, I said it is a belief of people, but big data is much beyond these things. We'll be coming out of these myths slowly when we listen to the big data perspectives to get a clear understanding what I call it as, or what we come to know it as big data. Big data is not only this, big data is something beyond. It's not new. It's not only massive volume of data. It's not only data from unstructured sources from social media, not only for opinion mining, but it is something beyond. It has within it. So we have to clear up the myths what we have in. And again, there are n number of articles posting about big data as a commodity compared to gold. It is in Hindu, right? Not only in Hindu, all leading news dailies, they have made it so much of things with respect to big data earlier, right? So one, it is a big data as a commodity. So what is it? So how big data got so big? Big data got so big because big data is a commodity. Data is a commodity. Data has a business value. Now, what is big data? Let us clarify. We have to clarify what is big data. And we'll clarify what is big data in the next session of listening to big data perspective. And we'll wrap up the session, whatever we have discussed so far. So, there was a first question in the slide. What is data? Data is a raw fact? Yes. Data is an information? Yes. Data is structured representation? Yes. Data is an unstructured format? Yes. But what makes data to be more was a question that has been posted as the first question in the first slide. Now, data is something beyond all these things. Now, data is a commodity. What is a commodity? Anything which has a business value is a commodity. Somebody has we have a Truecaller. Truecaller just have the data of all of our mobile phones and names. So where it is a commodity, the company owns the data, share our information to others. Where data is a commodity, it is being made into a business component. So data is more something beyond. Data is your value component is very important since data is a commodity. And we have discussed about your data deluge facts. So much of data has been generated from Facebook, tweets, and so many facts, Instagrams and social media. Business to generate data, we generate data, machines generate data. So we generate data by posting in social media sites to share our opinions. Business generate data in doing business transaction, and machines generate data in forms of sensors, in forms of location transformation, GPS, and so many things. So all these things has piled up with very large volume of data, which is much more our imagination, which we have discussed in units of measurement. So 1 GB of data is 3 semi-trucks of rice. So how many GBs of data we have, how many TBs of data we have, and we are moving into something called as zettabyte, which is your Pacific Ocean data filled in with Pacific Ocean. We call it to be data deluge. And now we understand that data is transformed slowly into something called as big data. Now coming into big data myths. So what is the belief we have? So we have big data as a new technology. No, it's not a new technology. Already it has been used for managing the governance, for forming the governance. So it's nothing new. Myths. It's not only structured data. It's not only unstructured data. It's not only massive volume of data. Or it is not only Hadoop. It is something beyond them. So with this wrap up of session, right, I think now all of you will have an understanding of what is big data. So the detailed description of getting into actuals of what is big data we'll be discussing in the next topic of big data perspectives. So see you in this next session of big data perspectives. And acknowledgements and all the brand and product names used are the trademarks of the respective holders, and I hereby acknowledge all the contributors since I've used so many images from so many sources where I could not list it out. So I just acknowledge everything, and all these sources has been taken up from their own sites. And I am now the owner of those pictures and images. Thank you.